Hi, this is Dr. Chandler George, and today on this micro webinar, what we're going to go over is e-commerce, how to sell online. And today, specifically on Amazon, just because it's the biggest tool out there to be able to sell and be successful online. It's not the only tool, and not the only one you should use, but to get started for quick success, it certainly is the one you want to go with. No different than if you're going to sell a bunch of real estate, you got to be on MLS. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm Chandler George, Catch Fire Coaching, and we're focused on the Amazon selling. So, why in the world do it? Well, first off, follow the money. Amazon's the biggest thing going. And with the virus that's gone on and the crisis, who's hired the most people? Amazon, 175,000 at the moment. Who's had the best growth? Amazon. Who's been the most recession-proof? Amazon. What have people leaned on? Amazon. And that was happening even beforehand. So a super strong business, one of the strongest, if not the strongest, just got stronger, didn't it? I think if they allow me to partner or joint venture with them, I might want to. What else happened? Well, the physical service business, which always had inherent risks of liability of physically being healthy or physically being there, and staff and overhead of an office. And as a doctor, I certainly know that for the 22 years I had different practices and businesses. It's very risky, and you got to carry a lot of insurance and everything. But with this virus, man, it was worse than risky. You were just, government forced you to shut down. And so you couldn't see anybody or do anything about it. And so debts piled up, and you borrow money and paperwork. You see what I'm saying it wasn't the best thing. Now, yeah, some of it you will bounce back and some might not. But don't you want to hedge? Don't you want to hedge to be able to do something that will still be a business that you own and control, but maybe you can grow on your own and protect yourself and be able to stay home if you needed to? Because even if practice's greatness didn't happen, we're not always well over a 40-year practice. We need other ways of having income. We need another business to sell, because many times one ain't going to get you there unless you practice until you're 65 or more, and then you've given up your whole life to practice. I'm just telling you, you want options. And the ones who've been around and had some of these things happen, you understand. And of course, again, with the virus, I think we all understand the importance. This will give you another option to have a viable business that then you can turn around and sell for a multiple, which is certainly what I want for you, what I want to have. It also helps with lifestyle, the ability to travel when we can travel, or road trip anyway, and run a business from anywhere. It also allows you to do it into multiple countries, right? So even if one country shuts down, you can do it in another country. So it has a lot of flexibility that bricks and mortar never will, a lot of flexibility that a service business never will. And service businesses typically can't be scaled too high. They have a diminishing return sector, whether it's construction, whether it's management of turnkey real estate, whether it's a chiropractic office. There is always a cap as to how much you can make and how big you can get before you actually lose money and go backwards. I promise you, there is. Having been in consulting my whole life as a participant, and then the last 14 years as a consultant for myself, and then 5 years before that for a national company, so I guess 19 years, and then had 34 coaches myself. It's just how it is. There is a cap on it, and then you're fighting to get there, right? To at least wherever the cap is. And again, it's predicated on staff and the office place, and are they doing construction in front of it? You get the idea. And your own health. A lot of times the doctor or the owner is the big bottleneck. But in this business, that's not true. So I would hope with what's happened with the virus, if nothing else, you see the world has changed. It had already changed, but it was kind of quiet and subtle because you're busy. Now it's not so quiet and subtle. This might be something you want to do that makes sense. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear. This is a business. You still will have to do some work, especially initially. There'll be some costs, some investments, and some things like that to get going. But compared to all that you've risked to run the business you had and invest in what you had, this is minuscule, absolutely nothing. Yet, it can make more than probably any business you've ever had. Yet, it can be sold for a higher multiple and higher profit than any business you've ever had. So it's worth definitely some time and some effort. And then once you get going, the truth is, many times for many people, is a 5-hour business a week or 20 hours a month. Well, that's nothing, and that's total. Uh, you're not having to drive and get dressed up and go anywhere. You're not having to check on anything. I mean, literally, that's it. And it doesn't matter if that's 10 products or 2. Now, you get much bigger than that in the multiple millions a year, then yeah, you probably need some staff or certainly some VAs to help. So you can do it from anywhere, and it does make a big difference. And it doesn't matter if you want a part-time gig making a few thousand extra a month or you want to make millions. This can do it for you. The reason we like also Amazon is they have something called Prime. Prime shoppers, as you know, as of this webinar, pay $119 a year to have the ability for extra perks and not to have to pay for shipping and to get their stuff faster. Well, that's the prime buyer. I think last time I heard maybe there's 100 million, well, it can't be 100 million people, 54 million people that have Prime. Well, just think about it. To tap into the awesome power, people who have more money, have Prime, and are paying for that sort of service is really the magic, that the people you're after. 13% conversions for non-Prime. So 74% conversions is huge, and Amazon's able to do that for you. That's why you want to play there first over Walmart.com or Jet or anything else. What would you sell? Well, that's a big part of what we teach in the program. It could just be reselling, also called arbitrage. Like, it used to be reselling books, but now in this day and age, I don't know if that's going to work so well, right? If people aren't going back to college. But you can resell stuff. Basically, it means buy low, sell high. Buy low at $1, sell for $11 to $100, right? And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. I'm not teaching that today. We do teach that in the course, but I'm not going to go over that today. The problem with that, if there is a problem, is it is a hustle. You only make money when you work, or only make money when some people help you. And you're liable to have some inventory somewhere at your house or your garage, right? It can be scaled, it can be sold, but it has more issues with it. Now, the upside of it, it can be started for nothing. It can be started for $50, and that's pretty sweet too. The one I'm recommending is private label. Branding your business. Have a true brand, because by having a brand and a collective of products as a brand, you can then sell it for a multiple. You can sell a website property address. You can sell anything and everything that helps it sell. The Amazon can just be a piece of it. And of course, you can do this not even be on Amazon. You could just have a website selling great and using Google AdWords. We've seen that before too. It's all part of the e-commerce world, but you want to do it as a brand. Now, how do we get a brand? Well, a brand is going to be a trademark. And typically they take 8, 7, 9, 10 months. They just do. Mine did too. I have one that's called Catch Fire Energy Health. So when you get this trademark, you can do it yourself or you can pay an attorney. It's still going to take you that length of time. But it allows you, when you work with Amazon, to get something called a brand registry, which then opens the kimono box of even more cool marketing and being pushed more to the top, being more legitimate in their eyes. That's huge. It's a huge opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean you don't sell there. You go ahead and do it, and it's awesome. It just makes it even better. So you do want a trademark. And 2, remember, everything's about someday selling your company for a multiple, whether that's in 2 years, only 2 years, 2 years of clean books, or many years thereafter. This is the place to be able to do that. The SBA and the government lends on Amazon businesses. Yeah, because they're pretty recession-proof and they are bankable businesses. In fact, the only thing more bankable is real estate. That's absolutely huge. Extremely popular. So I want you to think about that. So you're going to have a brand. And again, we're able to share with you exactly how to go about getting a brand step by step. It's just a process. Currently, $803,000 as of 18 months ago was the average price that a business that sells on Amazon would command. I predict when the next piece of research comes out, it'll be over $1 million because it proved to be so recession-proof. Time. We mentioned time, 5 to 7 hours a week, maybe. It can be whatever you want it to be, depending on how aggressive you want to be or how much you want to outsource. And we'll definitely get into outsourcing in teams. And in the course, we also teach you how to do that. If you're going to sell in the United States and produce it in the United States and sell healthcare products, I would suggest you do it in the United States. In other words, have it manufactured, made, and sourced in the United States. It'll cost more, but you'll have less liability, and you'll thank me later for it. If, however, you're going to sell anything but that, like outdoor sports equipment, home products, all that sort of stuff, well, get it sourced in another part of the world. It does not have to be China. It could be Micronesia. It could be Taiwan. It could be South Korea. It could be India. A lot of other places. And there's a lot of different resources to be able to do just that and make a phenomenal profit. You have an idea? I hope so, because this is where we're going to work with them. Start off with your top 100 exciting ideas. I mean, right now, get your paper, blank is good, and just do your top 100. Now, I'm not saying that'll sell yet, but you got to have your top 100. Then, and this is going to take the most amount of time, what are we going to do? Then, we're going to go, and you might use the $20 Chrome extension called DS Amazon Quick View Extended. You could also use Keepa, K-E-A-P-A, which is a free Chrome browser as well, which works inside of Amazon to give you information about what others are doing, maybe even competition. You can also get something called Jungle Scout Pro, which is $197. I make nothing from it, which is also an aggregate software, which will tell you what your competition is doing. And this kind of gives you an idea if there's any money to be made in that area, or if it's too competitive and you shouldn't even be there, or if there's not enough money being made there, there's no sales velocity and you shouldn't waste your time with it. It'll tell you all of that, and that's why you got to do the research. But you got the 100 ideas, throw them into the spreadsheet, and then those 100 ideas might be 17 that potentially could work, and you get it down to the top 3 or 4 that you might actually launch at some point, right? The products you start. That's typically the formula. That's what we're after. BSR is best selling rate. What is the typical selling rate of these products that you're looking to fit into when you start to choose? What are the reviews? If they got thousands of reviews, don't bother. But maybe if they only have, a couple hundred, a few hundred, and you got a shot. We don't have to be number one. If we can just be in the top 4 or 5, we can have a slam dunk and have a $10,000 a month gross product, which would net you, anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. That's absolutely huge. So I want you to think about that. Jungle Scout Pro kind of looks like that, by the way. They have 2 different versions, so you can get both of them or you can just get one of them. We like the one you just pay once and get started with it. Now, you want to compare ideas. So it's going to aggregate from Amazon, the Jungle Scout Pro, 3 competitors and the best-selling ranks. And the average might be $250 to as high as $12,000, believe it or not. Ranking 12,000 still make money. Each category is slightly different, right, between health or home and garden. Review numbers matter, which is what the $250 to $12,000 represents here on the screen that you're seeing, and pricing. The sweet spot is in the $20s to $80. Probably more like $23 to the $80. I would stay away from $17 to $18. And here's why. Amazon wants to make money. And if you don't help them make money, they're sure not going to help you. And if your stuff is selling really well, but they're still not making much money, they're going to push you down. You're not going to have an option to sell with them because it's a partnership, right? You need to sell well, but it needs to be profitable for them too. Make a list of what not to sell. Yeah, batteries, lithium batteries, headphones with batteries and stuff. You don't want to sell those. They explode. They create liability, all kinds of issues. Something that everybody else sells, vitamin C serum and all this. There's too much competition. You'll just invest some money and then have to liquidate it to quickly get your money out. But that is a good thing. If something doesn't work, you just quickly liquidate it, knock it at half price, and get your money back and get the products out of your life. And you didn't take a hit because you have something of value, right? You might not make a profit, but you have something of value. That's how you can get out of it, and that's where it's kind of like real estate. And then like you just lose it. Like in a business, a lot of times you can just lose it. So that's important, but there are things that you wouldn't want to sell. Also heavy stuff that's going to cost more in shipping, which will cost you at some point. If it's over 3 pounds, no. So stuff that's fairly light, or if it's heavy, then make the bottles smaller. And we include all this for you with lists, handouts, and PDFs on how to go about doing this. Now, once you have a product, then one of the things I know I don't want to do, and that's boxing and shipping it, right? You don't want another job where you're always having stuff around and you're boxing and shipping and sending it out. This is where Amazon comes in. They do it for you. They pick it out, right? They pack it and they ship it. And they can do it because they're so big for much less with the carriers like UPS than we ever could. In fact, they even help you when you have your product, ship it to them via companies like UPS, and it's cheap. I mean, it might be something that would cost you $500 to ship, and when you do it with them, it'll be $20. It's an amazing thing. Or when you need to replenish stuff and send them more stuff with your stock, it'll be really inexpensive because they underwrite it. They support it. They make sure it's inexpensive for you. On your own, it's expensive. So when you're doing it on your own and on your own website, you definitely got to charge more and make more because your costs many times are going to run higher. Not to say don't do it. There's a lot of value there and you're controlling it, but you're going to pay higher costs because it's just you. They're huge. What are your goals? Well, hey, if you can do 30 to 40% on profit, that is incredible. Even if it's just 22% net a lot of times in the first year, that's incredible on your product. 10,000 gross a month is a good goal on products, right? And many brands will sell and never have more than 4 products, maybe 15, something like that, right? So this is all possible and happens all the time. And then 90 days later, it's working great. Rinse and repeat. First year, have 4 products. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but that's a way I'd recommend without it getting too unwieldy at first. You can certainly go faster later. I have a friend recently, I think he added 15 products in just over a year. It's incredible. Now, building the business. Amazon Seller Central, as it's called, it's about $40 a month. They'll just deduct it every month, but it's going to give you information, dashboards, access to things, and that's where you kind of run the entire business. Very important that you do that. They won't take you seriously, won't help if you do anything else but that. That's a professional account. You're going to have a corporation or LLC, and you probably already have corporations and LLCs, but you're going to want another one, and you're going to want it specific to this business because remember, you're going to someday sell it here. Just think 2 to 5 years down the road, and if you don't, it's harder to sell, right? So you want to be able to sell the business, unless you have a brand now that you could just turn around and sell, but you want it to be able to sell. So that's when you're going through the trademark and all of that, it takes a while, but you're going to do it at the beginning as well. So you're finding a product and you're getting your name trademarked and establishing your LLC or whatever your CPA says. Shopify is who we would recommend for doing typical e-commerce store. So you're going to usually have some base website to go along with your Amazon. A lot of times they even want you to open up the categories. Shopify is literally the best. Now you can do it with others to start off with as placeholders for your own website, but at some point you want to get on a Shopify because it's easier to add apps and techniques to it to do far, far better. In fact, one of my mentors in person that I have watched for many years with Boom Social, Cindy Joseph, they do hundreds of millions a year and it's based off Shopify. And I know many others like that too. So Shopify is a good one to have when you're building up slowly over time while you're in Amazon where all the traffic is, getting things built up. Because as your marketing happens over the course of years, there'll be plenty of people coming to you with Shopify. I experienced this myself recently when I got myself into basically a docuseries. And because of the docuseries, they were looking for Dr. Chandler George. They weren't looking for my product. And so they found me online. And then that's where they were buying the product. But all they had was my name to go on. So all of a sudden I had a lot of traffic coming to the website, right? So that's why you have to have it. Otherwise, you would lose all that. Because if they forget the name of the product, which is real possible, especially at first, they may remember your name if they've met you somehow personally. And notice I say Amazon's not the only game. That's why you have Shopify. If you need a hedge, if something, heaven forbid, went wrong, like the virus did, the crisis, like any recession that the last 12 years we've had 2 of them, right? So that's where we're talking about your own website. You're building a business. When you're choosing the product, you're going to start off with 2 categories. You're going to go 30 pages deep in Jungle Scout Pro, which is using a lot of resources, and you're going to copy the information and study. And then when you get kind of tired or worn down from looking for stuff, well, then be sure you saved it and come back the next day or 2 weeks later, but not too long, so that you remember what you were doing, and check the products and be sure, yeah, well, that really is doing good. I thought it was doing good, but it really is, because here's the data points. And I checked it all out with the formula. So now let's go ahead and do something. Typically, building a brand, then, once you know the product, you're going to typically budget $2,500 and higher to get your inventory. But before you even do that, those top 4 or 5 products, well, why don't you throw, let's say $100, $200 at each one of them, and go to the manufacturer and get some samples. Get a few samples of each, 10 or 20, 10, and get them in a brown paper box or something. Don't get, don't get it branded and put your logo on it or anything like that. Don't waste the time building out fancy listings on Amazon. Just a basic listing, no branding, basic box, whatever, and $5 a day inside of Amazon sponsored ads, automatic and manual. Just a few keywords. And if all of a sudden you start selling a few a day, immediately selling a few a day with no branded name, no fancy anything, no packaging, it's just, here's the widget, then you know you got a winner. Then that's when you come back and invest the $2,500 and get it bigger and make your fancy branding and the listings. If you do the fancy branding and listings and you've done the research, you'll probably be more than fine. But it's just another added layer of insurance and protection. Besides, you may see one take off out of those 4 or 5 that you just threw a little money at and tested faster than the others. Or you might see one that sells none in a few days. And if you call some friends and say, hey, go buy this and check that, you might see nothing. So those, might sell, but they're going to be harder to sell. So just don't mess with them. Go with the one that seems to take off immediately, organically, and then put your brand and everything to it. Trust me, you'll save a lot of time, a lot of money, and everyone's going to this particular method in just the last few months versus immediately branding and going all the way through. So it's a process. You think about it and you put it out, but that's why you want to have multiple things to go to. And if they're all winners, by the way, the 4 or 5, well, then as soon as you have the inventory and the money, scale them all up. Take them all. Google Docs. Google Docs is easy to share. A lot of people have Google Docs, and it's typically free. And so it's where typically we'll have our spreadsheets and formulas and everything out so that you can quickly get your information up in there and see where everything's at and if it makes complete sense. So I suggest you use it. Also, all over the world, they'll have Google Docs, and it's easier to work with your wholesalers and manufacturers, which we also have emails and templates and things in place to help you look for those things in your particular categories that you're going after. China, obviously, the Canton Fair and things like this, has always been the biggest in terms of products, and they will continue to be even after the crisis. Now, we're kind of a little mad at them for good reason, and I do think there'll be a lot of backlash from people wanting to actually work with China on something like this, right? The companies, even though they'll be awesome to work with. So that's why there's other countries you can work with. But Alibaba, larger orders, AliExpress, owned by the same company, China, but smaller MOQs or orders, which is great because it saves you cash. And show them you're serious. Perfect emails, proper systems. Go to shows, affordable shopping destination like in Vegas. Meet people face to face, make deals. Like any business, it is a people business. This business can be really done online, but it's still a people business. And then at the end of the day, on the backside, it's a marketing business, right? It's a way of having a presence online, which right now people need more than ever. But it already was taken off. It already was going to control that space. So you just need to get on it before everyone's doing it. It's like the internet, 1999, then not going away. It was time for everybody to fully embrace it. That's where we are here. Time frames to get the products to market, well, longer than you would think because you're excited and ready to go. And you think 6 weeks, but many times it's 3 months. Sometimes if it's a nutritional product, And if there's a backlog, like from the crisis or whatever, it could take 4 months. So you have to allocate time for that, right? And this is with your brand and your information on it to really get going. But get it going as quick as you can so that you can get it up there. So it's not something you sit on for 4 or 5 months when you know you got a great product based on your research to go ahead and get going. Because then when you get going, actually a year later, with the lag time, then it may not be such a hot area, or you might have 10 other competitors. So when you think it, speed wins. Money loves speed. Speed to market. Get going as fast as you can, because you can't speed up this particular process. Part of the branding process, graphics. Well, we like 99designs.com, but you can use whoever you want to use. Maybe you have like my brother, his daughter is a graphic design person. That's her degree. Okay, I'd have her do it for me. But your logo, your mission statement, your colors, your trademark, you're testing it out. You want to get that really down. It's very important because that's what people have to look at. Your story. What's the story of your product? How did it come to market? Everybody wants an authentic you. Authentic me is I got to move. So I'm moving. Second product, well, maybe 90 days after the first. Once it's grossing, a few $1,000s to $10,000 typically. May even do more than that, but that's kind of the average. Remember, goal is 5 to 10 products so that you have a brand that other people and other businesses will want to buy and invest in. And they'll get SBA loans many times to do it with $803,000 as average sale price, which is great. It means most of them are in the millions. Complementary to the first product, so it can be bundled in themes. Yes, you want it complementary. You don't want to be in the sports category and then the secondary product is a spatula from home category. It wouldn't make any sense. How about the launch? That's an exciting time. It's like launching a book. I mean, you have your basic website for the brand. You got your social media set up. We get a couple of macro influencers. We run a little sale on the Amazon. We have a % off. There's all these exciting, cool things to do that we're also able to show and teach you. But you just start immediately. You don't have to do them all. You can go as big as you want, but you just start immediately getting people excited and creating the conversation. I know we did some videos. I like YouTube. We worked a lot with YouTube with the brand, that kind of stuff. Some people love Instagram. Our product wasn't geared so much for the younger crowd, so we didn't do as much as that, right? It just has to make sense. Along with the launch, you want your numbers. Your goal would be at least 10 to 15 units a day, right? Because it helps with your ranking. It helps you show up higher up in the pages and the algorithms on Amazon. Amazon says, hey, they're legit, they're selling. Then it will push you more to the top and you can stay there. And then there's softwares and things we'll recommend where you can track this stuff every day and they send it to your cute little phone. And then you can be anywhere in the world going, oh yeah, right? Because it sends you the data in the middle of the night. So I get up in the morning, first check, I sold this many, I made this amount of a profit, and here's my rankings on these keywords. Oh, and here's my competitor rankings on their keywords, right? And so it's a really cool thing that we all do. And, I don't know, 5 minutes is what it takes. It just comes. And then if I need to change something, well, then I go to the computer and different things and I make some tweaks, right? Or somebody else could for you. Some products you can do subscribe and save, and that way you can get a percentage, right? So if it's a product that needs that runs out of something like water, then they can turn around and do reorders. That's also a good thing too, because then your marketing costs are much less and you're making a higher profit. We tell you when to do the first order, right? In other words, you get the first order, and as it sells down, the software will actually tell you, hey, by the way, it's time to bring in more property, more of your stock, and get more going, which is very important. So reviews are very important. They love reviews, but they got to be honest and ethical reviews. Yeah, you can get friends or whatever to do it, but they have to buy the product on Amazon, pay for the product on Amazon, and they have to leave a proper review that's legit. Legit. You want to leave a review. What's good, what's not good about it, right? Customer service in place. You need 4 or 5 stars. 5's the highest on the Amazon reviews. You average 3.5 or lower, then you're not going to be pushed. You need at least 10 reviews to start getting really out there. So it's a rush to get 10 reviews as soon as you get launched with your product. And they do have an early review program that Amazon charges a little bit for, that they will also push you out there to help you get reviews and get going, because they want you to get going. Remember, the better you do, the better they do. They make their money by working with the people who do better with the joint venture partnerships. So it's into both of your best interests. Now, what could go wrong? Well, a lot of times listening to just all the forums and free information out there on places like Facebook and forums and stuff can get you in trouble. You want to be sure it's somewhere paid where you're getting the best of information and things aren't being held back. Don't want to waste your time. Join our program, join our group, and not only do we give you the best information that's updated, but we continue to give you the updates without charging you more money on the back end. There's no other charges. It's just more information, as things always continue to change, so that you can continue to grow your business. And what we've created then is a community of people building out their businesses on Amazon and e-commerce that can help each other out and do bigger and better things together with other people. And we all win in an environment like that. So when do you want to sell your business? 2 years is the average, believe it or not. That's when you have 2 years of clean books. Could be 5 years, could be never. You might want to keep it and leave a legacy for your family. You might want to set up more than one brand. My own cousin has 10 brands. There's many different things you can do with it, but you act as if you're going to sell it from day one, right? Many of us, when we got into our businesses or our doctor offices, we didn't think in the beginning to, oh yeah, act as if you're going to sell it when you first start. We were just happy in our 20s to have a business and make any money. And maybe we could do it for 40 years and someday sell it, right? But you need to act as if that you're going to sell it from day one, and build it that way, and be thinking all your decisions have to be as if you already are. And it took me a couple years to learn that in practice in my 20s with some management and coaching help. But once I did, it changed everything. And it will change everything for you here if you do it that way from the get-go. It'll be so much better for you. And that is the fast and basic history of all things Amazon. So what we're going to do is, over here or there, I'm going to have a link for you. And that link is going to have a 6-minute video, which will explain exactly what's in the program if you're at all interested in the program. And then you can click on that link and you can go ahead through our PayPal system and invest in the program. The program includes modules. 7 modules on everything you need to do to get set up, all the legal stuff you need to do, the marketing steps, the 32 steps that you can do on the back end to grow your business on Amazon. You don't need all 32. You might just pick 4, but I'm going to be sure you know about them all. And it's a private membership area on the interwebs, and then a private Facebook group where the community is at and able to discuss things. And I also do updates and have the PDFs and the handouts, as well as inside the membership area and the Excel spreadsheets and the documents and everything you need to just plug and play. You just copy and paste. Now it's yours. And then you're putting the information in there to make it work. We send you a computer. It's important with Amazon. You have a clean computer that's literally never been used for anything else. So we help you with that, or a private VPN network that you pay more money for in security. And I can explain that later, but you got to have all these things, or it's a high probability you can be shut down once you get started. We even saw it immediately when we launched it with a couple of our clients that we had to get worked out. So this is how we do it. So we'll provide you and ship you a computer. And as you do that, then in the program, it's a live and group program. It's online, but I also will talk to you some on the phone. You can email me. At first, we might have a call or two to be sure you're on track. We also would do it in the Facebook group. And then a couple of times a year, I go through the entire program again, A to Z, with any potential updates, which will then go back into the membership area. Also, a couple of times a year, whether it's now virtually or physical is how we had been doing it the last couple of years. We have 2-day events with some of the best speakers and teachers in e-commerce and Amazon, everything in the universe around that sphere, to teach to you and to help you grow your business better. That for the first year will be no charge. The first year you'll be able to come. And that's all part of the program too. If you come on your own, it's usually $500 or something like that to come. We feed you lunch and we do all this setup virtually. Obviously, will be a little bit different in this new environment. So that's what we typically do. The next event that we have now scheduled for the fall, right? That's centered around that with other speakers and teachers. But if you're interested in that, you can just click on the link and you can go ahead and get started. The investment for that is $3,997. $3,997. Now, that's all up front. We ship you the computer, we open up the back end, and you start the course. And a couple weeks later, you might have some questions, or you might have something you're not sure of, right, as you're tweaking. That's perfectly what I would expect. Then, as you go along, hopefully you can help other people inside the Facebook group as well. Now, if you're not able to, for whatever reason, start at $3,997 immediately, well, then we can do payments. I don't have a payment link set up on there, but you can do payments. And the payment would be $1,500 upfront, $1,500 upfront, and then $300 a month for 11 months. $300 a month for 11 months. So it has a slight interest charge built in, and it comes out to about $4,800, I believe, just so that you know upfront. However, you get all year to finance it. You get all year to finance it. You can do that too if that's a better fit for you. And you already know ahead of time that it's usually good to have $2,500 also to invest in products once we find the winners and the ones you're going to go stick with, right, to grow the business. And if that sounds like someone like you that you've been looking for, and you already have some experience in business, in life, right? Because I'm a firm believer the reason we have this set up for entrepreneurs, doctors, and business owners is because they have an inherent sense to how to take the statistics and the numbers and make things work. If you've had no business experience, you still can do this. You'll be super smart in some others, but you might want to have an adult or somebody else working with you as well, or even partner with somebody else. We certainly have I can think of one person, there's 3 of them working on this together, doing it together as their own brand. There's families where it's a mother, father, and daughter with the wife. And in one case, it's a missionary group where they're doing it so they can do more missions through a church and to help them have enough money just to be able to continue to do the missions. So you can get as creative as you want to get with it. Amazon is the place we all want to be because they're in our health care. They're in our Whole Foods. They own Whole Foods. They have a service division that does plumbers and contractors already. They have a t-shirt division that's all they do. I mean, they're just everywhere. And so you might as well learn how to play with them. And we're going to be sure to show you how to do that. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me at support@catchfirecoaching.com, support@catchfirecoaching.com, or click on the link that we will have wherever you're seeing this particular micro webinar and see if that's a fit for you. We'll have a 3 days money back if you change your mind and you go, I don't know. My spouse didn't like it. Well, then you got 3 days to decide, 3 days to change it out. We don't have a long-term money-back guarantee anymore because some people just jumped on it as a business opportunity and then realized that, oh my gosh, I might actually have to do a little work, and then they backed out. I don't want those people. I want people who are serious and dedicated and get after it, and it would do great. And that's why I prefer people who have actually had a business, because you've invested $500,000 for education. You invested $500,000 for a liability of just a lease. You invested another $500,000 in probably equipment. Or if you had a franchise, same thing. You know what it means, and you know how little this is to be able to make a real business. It's just amazing. And that's the folks we're after, because I believe you'll have the best success. Again, it's Dr. Chandler George. I'm looking forward to your success. That's what it's about. I'm loving Amazon and the whole e-commerce business, and I think you will too, and you'll see how it can free you up to have more fun, and maybe I'll see you out on the biking trails or the skiing trails this summer.